When a ninja becomes Hokage, not only are they recognized as being one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful ninja in their village, but they're also expected to use their wisdom to guide the next generation of shinobi down the path of prosperity. However, while in this position, one of the hardest things for Hokage to do is to allow the next generation to slip and fall as they stumble into their way into adulthood. Important missions that a Hokage knows that they can handle if they stepped out of the office, they have to sit back and watch silently as the next generation works their way to find the correct answer for the problem at hand. For Kakashi Hatake, during his time as the 6th Hokage, this was perhaps one of the hardest things that he had to learn very early on in his tenure. After all, the guy was an academy prodigy, a legend in the Anbu, and a ninja feared across all the nations as Kakashi of the Sharingan. When it came to completing missions of high urgency, he was a ninja who knew how to effectively and efficiently get the job done. However, as Hokage, Kakashi needed to learn how to let go and to trust the next generation of ninja. In today's edition of After Naruto Shippuden, we're gonna take a look at what I personally feel is Kakashi's greatest temptation after he became the 6th Hokage. Now, for those of you guys who are new, After Naruto Shippuden is a series on this channel where we take a look at the Naruto story between the events of Naruto chapter 699 and chapter 700 of the Naruto manga. In the scene I'm gonna share with you guys, which comes from the Shikamaru Hida novel, Kakashi has been working at his desk, very much still deep in thought over the burden that he's placed at the lap of Shikamaru. It's been a couple of days since Shikamaru talked him out of hanging up the Hokage cloak and traveling to the land of silence to kill Gingo, the leader of the Enlightened Ones, a ninja army that sprung up after the end of the 4th Great Ninja War and sympathized with Madara Uchiha's vision for a world without war. After going over the report that Shikamaru gave Kakashi about the meeting with the Shinobi Union, which is a collective meeting of reps of all the ninja villages, big and small, of people who are considered to be Kage candidates in each of their respective villages, Kakashi addresses Shikamaru's sudden change in demeanor. Despite the fact that Shikamaru was handpicked by Kakashi to lead the meetings and serve as Konoha's lone representative, signifying that he was the only person that Kakashi viewed as being a future Hokage candidate, at least at the moment, since Naruto wasn't ready for that responsibility, Shikamaru doesn't feel as if he's truly worthy of being on the council, and in fact he wonders if any of the other members would actually miss his presence if he stopped attending. Right away, Kakashi's able to see exactly what's bothering Shikamaru, the heavy burden of the S-rank mission to invade the land of silence and kill Gingo. For the very first time in his ninja career, Shikamaru has been given a mission to take the life of a ninja. While he did kill Hidan, that moment was mostly about revenge, whereas this time, Shikamaru will be traveling to a land to kill someone without any type of hesitation. Being someone who's been on those types of missions before, Kakashi knew all too well the thoughts that were running through Shikamaru's mind as he listened to Shikamaru, slowly listing his requirements for teammates, in particular when it comes to 2 Anbu members that he's requesting. One of the requirements that he wants is someone who's a master of some type of variation of the chakra suppression jutsu so his chakra can be cloaked, and the other one needs to be skilled in handing down killing blows. It's in this moment that Kakashi realizes that Shikamaru's come up with a way to have a plan that gets in a situation where he doesn't have to give the killing blow himself, and yet there's still doubt in Shikamaru's mind, who at this point has an internal monologue where he states how small he feels in comparison to the enormous presence that Kakashi gives off as Hokage. In the scene I'm going to share with you guys, we see a very different side of Kakashi that went totally unnoticed by Shikamaru up until now, standing at the Hokage office. I want you guys to really picture this real quick. Hold on. Really picture this. Close your eyes and imagine for a second. Alright, you got your eyes closed. Alright, yo, peep this shit right here. Okay, so you got Kakashi standing at the Hokage office, looking off into the sunlight with a very serious and somber expression on his face. Kakashi raised his hand in front of the window while Shikamaru was talking, and again, he's got his back to Shikamaru, so he's not even looking at him. Now, with each moment that passes where it becomes obvious that Shikamaru, while he is prepared to do the mission, Shikamaru still has doubts and reservations, Kakashi subconsciously is starting to let his frustrations show. You have lightning chakra beginning to crackle around his fingertips and eventually his hand, and it's in that moment that as the chakra shooting off into the air that Shikamaru notices the change and what it actually signifies when it comes to Kakashi. So what I'll do for you guys now that the scene's set, is re-highlighted passages from this novel when it comes to this scene, and then I'll come back to you guys with my thoughts. So it's here I'm going to begin quoting. Kakashi stood up. He turned his back to Shikamaru and stared out the window into the sunlight. Shikamaru, you don't have to do this. You don't have to take on a burden like this. You know that, right? Kakashi said. Shikamaru didn't reply. He just repeated Kakashi's words in his mind. Take on a burden. Flickers of lightning snaked out of Kakashi's hand, shooting into the air. Shikamaru's eyes widened at the realization. I'll tell you what I think, Lord Hokage. Even now, you're still willing to toss everything aside as your obligations as Hokage. You want to go directly to the land of silence. You know you can't be allowed to do that. Shikamaru could practically hear Kakashi's heart screaming. It was in his very nature to go to the land of silence and kill Gingo himself before he became a threat too big for the village. But Kakashi wasn't in the Anbu anymore. He was the Hokage. All the responsibilities that came with being Hokage, Kakashi, he couldn't be allowed to just set them aside. Kakashi sighed. I just feel so bad for putting all this on your shoulders. Kakashi said, Lord Hokage, Naruto and I, everyone in our class, we've all slowly been pushed in positions of responsibility. We're not children anymore. You can't carry everything on your shoulders anymore. You have to trust us. We can do this. Right, Kakashi said with a very heavy sigh. The lightning chakra from his hand melted into the sunlight as Kakashi cut the flow of chakra and turned around to face Shikamaru. Shikamaru, tell me, in your opinion, what does it mean to be an adult? In quote, first off, it's a scene like this that I really feel like we should have gotten into the Naruto Shippuden anime adaptation of this novel, but sadly this is one of those scenes that was cut out. So to see Kakashi struggling with this darker nature even after agreeing days prior to allow Shikamaru to take on this mission, it really adds a human element to Kakashi as Hokage, a man who refused to see any more of his comrades die because of all the traumatic things that Kakashi's seen in his very long lifetime. He wanted to take on this mission so badly that he's spouting off lightning chakra with his back turned to Shikamaru, unable to face him while he's listening to Shikamaru talk. Kakashi's so cool and collected, sure, everybody knows that. He's probably one of the smoothest characters in the series. However, it's really the moments like this that show you a different side of him as Hokage that I personally feel that we actually need to see, because it humanizes him a lot more, because it shows the internal conflict that still exists inside of Kakashi, as well as gives Shikamaru a moment to grow up. And I want you guys to really think back to that scene in the pain arc, right? So when you go back to the pain arc, you have this moment where Tsunade is listening to the elders talk and they're saying just keep Naruto on Mount Miyaboku, and Tsunade says no, your time is over, your generation had its chance, my generation had its chance, it's time for Naruto to fight for the village, let the young person take up the mantle. That's essentially what Kakashi's coming to realization now. Shikamaru's no longer a child who needs to be protected. Instead, Shikamaru's the person that has to go out there and face that darkness by himself. Now, what also stands out here is that Shikamaru, in the moment when he calls out Kakashi for still wanting to go to the land of silence, Shikamaru proves exactly why Kakashi was right when Kakashi made Shikamaru the only person to serve as the rep for the Shinobi Union, and being the only person that Kakashi considered to be an immediate Hokage candidate. Because again, to reiterate, Naruto still has some issues at this point in the timeline. He's not ready to be Hokage. That's something that Tsunade as well as Kakashi agreed upon. The thing about Shikamaru is that Shikamaru understood that the Hokage must allow the next generation to take on responsibility, even if it means failure, and that the Hokage needs to be there to offer words of wisdom to put them back on the correct path. It's essentially teamwork, trusting in your comrades to do the correct thing, even if it's something that you know you're best suited to do yourself. There's a line where Shikamaru says that it's his generation's turn to embrace responsibility, and it's very telling in my opinion, which is why I find it hilarious when Kakashi asked Shikamaru the question that's been weighing on Shikamaru's mind from very early on in this novel, which is, what does it mean to be an adult? This mission for Shikamaru was the very moment where the boy slash teenager finally ended and the man that we know in the Boruto era was now being created. Unlike Naruto, who was still playing pranks, goofing off, and complaining to anyone who would listen about his increased workload as a ninja, Shikamaru at the age of 18 was fully embracing the ups and downs when it comes to adulthood, and this will be very important as Shikamaru turns 19 and goes into the events of Naruto the Last. You gotta understand that for Kakashi, you see how badly he wants to keep Shikamaru from crossing the line of killing someone in cold blood. Shikamaru had an internal monologue moments before the scene where he admits the fear of taking on this mission because it might change him. He knew that the darkness force could swallow him whole if it allowed him, if he wasn't strong enough to contain it. Kakashi pretty much acts in the role of a very overprotective and concerned father, which is very fitting given that he has the Hokage position. Kakashi knows that once Shikamaru crosses this line, even if he doesn't land the killing blow and only restrains the target using his shadow possession jutsu, Shikamaru will be forever changed and he couldn't go back to who he was in this moment. It was a necessary evil to prevent another war from starting, but some lines had to be crossed, and when you cross them, you're never able to return from them. In the end, despite every fiber in his body wanting to take on this mission, even after agreeing to allow Shikamaru to carry it out, Kakashi reluctantly relented and assembled a team for Shikamaru. So, what do you guys think about this moment? Who do you guys feel was the most right in the situation? Was it Kakashi wanting to save Shikamaru from crossing a line that would forever change him? Or was Shikamaru right when he told Kakashi that as Hokage, it's really Kakashi's duty to let the next generation take on more responsibility? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.